There we are. Welcome to the Sketch Zone podcast. I'm Carlos Gomez, and we're going to keep it light this week. We have Mr. Jack Kasperzak.
I'm only going to do that because I've been gone for 2 weeks.
I know. How's it? How's your vacation? We're docking your vacation time.
I wish it was vacation. I wish.
Things getting busy at work?
Yeah, it is. It is busy.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's good. It's good busy. It's none of that crazy nut job stuff. It's just good, steady. That's what I like. I like it. I like days that are like full and busy, and then before you know it, the day's over. I don't want that like crazy stressful stuff because you're dealing with some nut job or like nobody's happy or any of that stuff.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Jack is an animation director at DreamWorks TV.
This is true.
And he is working on a wonderful show called Spirit. Hang on, let me see. You got it. Oh, I thought maybe it was a DreamWorks TV mug. Look at that. So nice. In a related story, I saw the video that Charlie posted and then you reposted where Spirit sent Charlie's daughter Ava a toy.
Yeah.
This week.
There's apparently Spirit is equally as talented as Santa Claus.
Yeah. Spirit.
Well, the funny part is apparently Ava thinks that the girl's name is Spirit, not the horse. So.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
But she was very interested and confused and astounded that Spirit was able to send. Well, Lucky, aka Spirit, was able to send her something and knew her address.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a what would you call it? It gives me a concern. I'm concerned, not because any other reason, except I think possibly this might start. You remember what happened between Tupac and Biggie? I have a feeling that Spirit and Santa are going to have a Tupac Biggie thing.
Someone's going to have to die.
So Santa, if you're out there, don't go to Vegas, dude. Spirit is looking for you.
Spirit's trying to take your place. Spirit can be the Christmas in July. Well, August.
Before I forget, because I always forget, if you have any questions for anyone on the show. Sorry, Fitzy just texted me and I got nervous. Hi, Fitzy. I'm actually working on some storyboards. Hey, if you have any questions for anyone, whether the show is happening or not happening, we don't even care. But you know why? Because the Sketch Zone hotline is 24/7, 7 days a week. You can use Jack, how'd you get so awesome? You can use the Sketch Zone hotline, 408-SKETCH-8. That's 408-753-8248. And if you're international, 011-408-753-8248. Hi, we should get Fitzy on the show like right now.
I know, I've been trying to get her on.
We should invite her right now.
She's asking who the guest is. I think it's you, Fitzy.
Yeah, we might have you on.
A surprise guest.
Right now, we're actually investigating the idea that Spirit and Santa are going to have beef, and they're going to start writing songs about each other.
Yeah. No, but it did bring up something kind of funny. I thought was interesting about the situation that she's of an age. I don't know, how old is Ava?
She's what, 4? I want to say
4. I think. She's
Yeah,
of,
'cause
of an age where she's aware enough to know that it was a TV show because she got the package apparently and said, "Oh, either her mom said it or someone noticed. Oh my gosh, it's from Spirit and Liking. Shit, stop. It's just a show, Mom." until she opened it up and realized it was actually a horse, a spirit toy. Then she got real confused, and then accepted that Spirit sent her something, but then had another logical question of how does Spirit know my address? So there's a lot of thinking going on there. I like it.
I know.
I like it.
She's not easily convinced, that one. When I first met her, she was still, I think, maybe just starting to walk, if not walking yet. And and Charlie's like, she'll love you if you give her some of these Cheerios. So I was giving her Cheerios, and she was still giving me that side stink eye. She was like, I've seen this trick before. I don't believe you. So she was not having it. But we might be homies now. I don't even know. We don't see each other nearly as much as we should. But good on you, Spirit, for hooking up little Ava with the Spirit toy. That was fantastic. And by Spirit, we mean Jack.
Yeah, but that would ruin the mystique.
No, I know, but I know that Ava doesn't listen to the show, so
that's
the only reason I spilled the beans.
Because then she'd be like, "Who's this creep Jack?" And creepier, why does he know my address?
Right.
It's better that Spirit knows your address. Trust me.
Spirit sends toys. So Spirit is what? One of the shows on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it is. I've been working on it along with actually Fitzy, who's listening. Been working on it for...
I'm telling you, we got to get Fitzy on here.
Well, over a year and a half now. We just dropped season 1, which is episodes 1 through 6, about a month ago. And then the next ones are coming soon. I don't know that they've announced the date, so I don't even know that I know. But it's coming soon. And the next ones, I'm telling you, spoiler, they're awesome. That's all I can say.
The animation is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good little show. It's great writing. It's unusual. That's what I like about it. I'll be a little honest. When I got hired onto it, I was like, oh, I mean, this is cool, but it wasn't really my thing. You know,
sure.
A horse show.
You're into like big robots and making things
and you know, and like Dave Atsy was.
I like turtles.
I like the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. You know, but as I jumped on it and it started to unfold, it's really a pretty cool show, and it only gets better. I promise you that.
So is this show.
This is true. Oh, Fitzy's saying it was announced. They dropped the next 7 in September.
Hell yeah.
See, our listeners come to the rescue.
Fitzy's gonna be the guest tonight, but she's gonna do it all text message.
Might be a little slow response, but we'll get through it. We've had a few live guests that have been slow response, so.
So Netflix has been in the news a lot.
Speaking of.
One of the big things is a DreamWorks rival, you can say. Again, Biggie Tupac, Disney and DreamWorks. But Disney decided that they're going to pull all of their content off of Netflix and start their own streaming service.
Yeah. What do we all think about that? That's pretty big. I mean, the internet lost its mind.
Yeah.
But the internet is like a weird noisy.
Yeah, the internet is the same place that steals music. So it's
You're right. The internet's like, I don't care. I was pirating Disney stuff anyway. uh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It seems like all these big corporations that have way more money than they know what to do with, they're all starting to get into creating content.
well,
And
Disney is, one of the original content creators.
right. Fitzy says, let's start our own streaming called Two Girls and a Mohawk Girl.
Two guys,
Like,
two guys and a Mohawk
or
girl.
two guys, yeah. I'm in.
I mean, everybody's doing it. Why not? But and it's like becoming. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, less than 10 years ago, probably 5 years ago, that everybody started jumping ship from cable companies because they don't want all these package deals and all these channels, and they're paying too much. And it's like, nah, by the time I add up my Netflix and my Hulu and my HBO and my Disney Channel and my whatever, I'm going to be effectively paying my cable bill again. It's like,
right.
And I feel like we're gonna come full circle, and it's gonna get back to that. I think this type of behavior will go on for the next 10, 20 years. All the major producers will split off and start doing their own thing because, hey, why not? Why not? We should just cut out the middleman. We have direct to, but people are gonna get tired of managing this many accounts and jumping between services to watch what they want. Because aside from the monetary fact of me paying for Netflix and then paying for Disney, I also assume that means this is going to sound really lazy, but it's true. You got to exit out of Netflix. You got to log into Disney. You got to browse Disney, and you got to go find what you want on Disney. You've got like 8 different platforms.
And all you're doing is possibly saving $5 a month.
Yeah.
But at the same time, well, I guess, see, for me, I do a lot of my watching of anything the majority of my watching is on YouTube. And I don't even know why. Maybe because I'm in front of the computer all the time. And then the next thing would probably be Netflix. That might be it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been flirting with getting YouTube TV. What do I watch on YouTube? Fitzy's asking what I watch on YouTube. I watch, oh man, like my brain is crazy. I watch a lot of drawing and painting stuff. I watch a lot of other podcasts just to see what other people are doing. I'll watch a lot of what is that CNET for technology stuff. Some sports clips and stuff like that, but not really a lot.
The cool thing about YouTube and Vimeo to some extent, but more so YouTube, is that there's all that stuff that's not produced. It's not produced content. It's just some guy's thing. There's like how-to videos. There's like random funny stuff, and that's like, I mean, it's not even. I would say it's comparing apples to oranges, but it's not really. I mean, somebody can easily fill their time and binge watch funny fail videos or cat videos as much as they can binge watch, Game of Thrones. And I think it is totally valid entertainment. Now, is somebody going to pay $7 a month for cat videos? Well, probably. There's probably
some of those people out there.
There's a lot of people out there that would legitimately pay for cat TV, but
you are watching.
But my point is like the interesting thing about YouTube, and I think they have the edge over pretty much everybody else, is that they do have access to the user content and the non-produced stuff, and there's no rules on YouTube. I mean, there's rules, but there's no rules for format. I mean, there's stuff that's 10 seconds long, there's stuff that's 10 minutes long, and then there's 2-hour, 3-hour movies and stuff. And you can get your fix of kind of, I mean, it almost is like a cable company. It has everything.
Right. And if you get into like YouTube Red and stuff, there's a lot of uh, not private content, but what is it like? I don't know what it's called, but there's other content that's not available via, you know, the traditional YouTube. And then with YouTube TV, they have live TV. So then um, you're able to flip over and watch a regular TV channel and
Right.
then flip back over and watch, you know, your cat videos and those knuckleheads that jump from building to building and parkour folks. Um, so yeah, and the thing about what you watch on TV versus what you can watch on YouTube, I think for me, normal people talking about products that I will hear in a little bit. I have to change the more Fitzy wants to see what I'm drawing, but I will in a little bit. I have to change the page. But um you know, if it's a professional talking about this drawing thing or this piece of electronic equipment that I might be interested in, you're paid to say whatever it is that you're trying to say. And I don't necessarily want that. I want to hear what it does, how hard is it to set something up, or how difficult is it to you know, the difference between Photoshop and Sketchbook Pro, or the difference between a laptop and a Wacom Cintiq versus actually drawing on an iPad. You know, there's conversations that are happening on YouTube that draw my attention that you can't really get if you flip over to, you know, whatever TV channel. I don't mind ads. I know that that's part of it. But I want real people to tell me something, not necessarily a you know.
Yeah, like a produced, paid for, edited kind of.
Yeah. I want to know about the struggles. I want to know about all that stuff. You know, if it's a little difficult to set up a piece of equipment, I want to know going into it, so then that way I know. Whereas if you're telling me, if you're selling me sunshine, but you're not telling me that it's possible to get a sunburn, I need to, you know, I need to know. I'd rather know and be ready for it than it is, you know, than buy into the sunshine and then get a sunburn, if that makes sense. I know I'm going like completely philosophical right now, but whatever. Tough. I'm feeling deep right now.
Well, I mean, to bring that back around, like, what do you think that means for the Disney streaming service? Like, what? I mean, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, do we think they're just purely being greedy and they're like, oh, we want to cut out the middleman and control our content? Or, you know, do you think there is an actual viewer benefit to it?
Personally, I think it's not a bad move for Disney. It's your content. You don't necessarily need Netflix. So imagine if Disney were to take their own content and make that Netflix money. You know, at the end of the day, a corporation's responsibility to its shareholders is to make more money. So how do you do that as a content creator? And you have the ability to have the delivery process.
Mm-hmm.
So now you don't have to, now your content is not going to get lost within everything else, right? So if I'm Disney, why would I want my stuff on Netflix when it's competing with things like Spirit?
Right. You don't want your product listed next to your competitor. You want.
Right. That's why you don't ever go to a brand new car dealership and you see a brand new Lexus lined up right next to a brand new BMW. You don't ever
Right.
see it.
Well,
You
yeah.
want your Lexus to be
There's
lined up next to the next Lexus, and then you just hit them with Lexuses until someone buys that, right? As a consumer, it's almost exactly what you said. Like, why do I want to flip over or switch the app or do whatever the case may be to get to the content that I want to see? However, if I really like Disney stuff and I don't necessarily like Cartoon Network stuff, I don't want to have to go through all of the Cartoon Network stuff to get to the Disney stuff that I wanted to get to in the first place.
right. Yeah. I mean, I mean, it makes sense from that point of view. I mean, you want to watch a Disney movie, you go to the Disney Channel. I mean, that's kind of how it was set up on cable, and that's that's kind of what, in a way, what we're used to. I mean, HBO is doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, HBO has been doing it, I think, longer than pretty much anyone else.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, even back when it was distributed as a channel, I mean, you paid premium for that channel, and obviously a lot of that money went directly to HBO. And then now that they're streaming, like you still can get it on your cable or your satellite, but you can also stream it directly from them, and everything's curated and owned by them.
Right.
And as we all know, I mean, they're killing it. They're just making loads of money. So.
And I think that's the cool thing about it. That's where we would, as their consumers, would end up winning, because if Disney is making more money, and I mean, I don't know how much more money they need, but let's get away from Disney. Let's say,
Yeah, let's fix Disney of all people. I mean, they have more money than literally God. So
yeah, let's say Netflix, because they're still new in the content creation, and they're not even really creating content. They're more licensing content than anything. But let's say they're making enough money to start creating to act. And isn't it Netflix that's opening up their own?
Yeah, they're opening
studio?
an actual in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, they do own parts of their co-production. They own with like House of Cards, and all their original content stuff is co-produced.
Yeah.
So they are pretty, obviously that's where but they don't make money. This is the interesting thing about Netflix, is they make their money off of the subscription, and so
right.
I mean, which would be the same for HBO. I mean, they bank on people paying for that service. But kind of the elephant in the room, and the one that kind of bites a lot of industries in the ass, is this idea of perpetual and exponential growth. That, and we've talked about this on the show before, where you make $1 million this year, but your operating costs are only $5. You made $1 million next year, you better make $1.5 million, even though you're still making $1 million profit. Like, they always want exponential growth, even if you're still making a profit, you're in the black.
Right.
So if Netflix sustains, they're still making a ton of money for a lot of people, but that's not what the market, because it's all linked to the stock market, and you want growth. You can't sustain. Right. It's inherent in the system, and in some ways that's really detrimental to the system. It demands constant growth. So I mean, that's what they're after. Is they're after more subscribers. So they've kind of got themselves in this. They don't have the luxury and the benefit of Disney. Disney has, God, close to 100 years of, going in about 2 or 3 more years, 100 years worth of content. That they have literally a library of work, not just animated, but all the movies that they've produced.
Right.
That they can just backfill this channel for forever. I mean,
right.
and there's so much content just that's Disney that they can cycle through it, and to a lot of people it will be new content, and they didn't have to spend a dime. Whereas Netflix is constantly forced to produce more content, which is kind of, simultaneously they're also in the news for this supposed, $20 billion debt that they're in. And they're kind of struggling to produce more content, gain more subscribers, and keep this debt under control.
Right. Yeah. And that was another one of the articles that came out this week, was that Netflix isn't necessarily that they're operating, they're not losing money, but they're operating off of debt in a big way right now. Like, what was it?
Yeah, 20 billion. I mean, and it's not, I mean, I think the internet again fails to mention that this is not uncommon in business. It's not uncommon for businesses to carry a debt. I mean, the same way that our government has a national debt, you can still be bringing in profit. You can still be profitable. Investors can still be interested, as long as your income. I mean, it's like basically balancing a checkbook. As long as your income and your bank accounts are bigger than your debt, you're good, and as long as it's growing. Yeah. But that is not to say that this $20 billion is just going to go away. I mean, that's a massive amount of money. I mean, yes and no. It's an incomprehensible amount of money for somebody like us to even begin to think about. But we also have to remember that we're in the age now where individual intellectual properties are selling for that amount. I mean, remember, Star Wars was sold to Disney for $40 billion. That's just one. That's just one property.
Yeah.
That's not a channel. That's not a business. That's one property.
That's an idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, 20 billion is a lot of money, but you also have to remember they've got dozens and dozens of properties that are worth a ton of money, and they got investors constantly throwing money at them. And so it's not a trivial amount, but it's not like they're going out of business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they have enough to continue operating. They have. We were talking about this right before the show too, where it seems like Netflix is taking shots whichever way they turn, because they on one side you have the internet service providers that are trying to make it legal to charge companies to stream. Yeah. So basically, the more famous or the more popular you are, the more you would have to pay to be able to have people come and consume your product with limited to no bandwidth issues. And then now you have Disney that is pulling content.
Yeah.
So now it becomes that much more important for Netflix to come out with really good content, which they have been doing. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely have, and they clearly saw this. They saw this day coming. I mean, they clearly knew this from day one. I mean, from the minute they started slowly moving out of DVDs and getting into streaming, and then they saw, well, pretty soon, content providers are going to start wanting to do this themselves once the technology becomes available that they can do it themselves, or they're smart enough to pull. We need to get our own content. We need to have custom stuff that nobody else had. I mean, so they're not dumb. They saw this coming, and I think they're on the right track. But it will be interesting, when a lot of these, because once Disney does it, that's going to give other corporations kind of the idea, like, yeah, well, maybe we should do it too.
Right. Because how difficult is it really to come up with your own app that streams your own content?
I mean, I don't even know. You would probably know better than I do, coming from the web programming. But I mean, at this point, I would suspect there's effectively downloadable software that will do it for you. Like, if you have a server set up, there's just pre-built stuff. Obviously, that's not going to serve to millions of viewers, but the technology itself I feel like it's been refined. It's always being more refined, but that technology is now there for anybody that wants to do it.
Yeah, it's not that hard at all.
No,
there's services like Akamai. There's services like Amazon Web Services that and Amazon, they're
Yeah.
making so much money off of their web services that it's ridiculous. Yeah, so it's not that hard. And once you cover the overhead of actually developing the app, really it goes into maintenance mode, and you downsize your team because the bulk of the development is done. You keep enough to you keep a handful of people together for any kind of bugs that might pop up. You have another group of people that work on improvements and new things, and then like the content just sits there. You keep filling the content, manage the subscriptions. It's not that hard, especially if you have Disney, DreamWorks, Netflix money.
Yeah. Well,
Marketing.
I think the one thing that I haven't really seen any of the articles talk about this yet, but I think, going hand in hand, like you said, with the internet providers and the bandwidth, throttling and all this stuff, is, I think, the one thing that people forget is that Disney owns Comcast. Disney owns they own a cable provider, an internet provider.
They're gonna win one way, shape.
So they actually can control how their content is produced, and Netflix doesn't have that. Neither does Amazon yet. I suspect that Amazon is branching into that market. They've already hinted at the fact that they're working on that type of stuff for checkouts and stores and stuff. So I think Amazon realizes that that's where they need to be. But
I think Amazon is in it already. Amazon is already creating their own content.
Well, no, I'm not talking about content. Amazon's obvious. Yeah, they have a whole bunch of their own shows, and they've already been talking about creating like an actual cable, like television provider, similar to like YouTube Red. They're doing that, but I'm talking about the actual like internet provider. That's the other middleman that so far no one has been able to get around. You have your Time Warner and your Spectrum and your Comcast and all that stuff that stands in the middle and controls how this data is ultimately delivered to you. And Netflix doesn't have that. Whereas Disney, Disney can say, hey, we're pulling our content, but they also have an internet provider,
in their back pocket.
In their back pocket. So, there's all these amalgamations of companies that are, merging, and it's nuts. It's potentially really dangerous for the consumer. And you think about all the stuff that a single entity owns and controls, and it could turn out to be really detrimental to the consumer. And it's hard when this is the whole reason there's like the monopoly busting laws and stuff. It's like once companies get so large, it's really hard to they claim, free market competitors will take care of that. But it's like, can you really compete with Disney?
Someone with an unlimited amount of funds.
Basically unlimited amount of funds. Fine. Even one sect of their ownership could go bankrupt. Like, say Disney Parks went bankrupt and they all shut that. Like, they still own so much other stuff that that they're not going anywhere.
No.
And so it's really kind of a weird situation where these every company obviously wants to cut out every middleman possible. They want full control, and which is fine and totally understandable. We're doing it the best we can right now. We're obviously utilizing Google, and we're utilizing our own internet providers and stuff, but we've cut out a distributor method.
Right.
And it's the most efficient. It's the best way to have full control and all that. But when we're talking on big scales, there's a lot of drawbacks that go with that.
That would be a lovely challenge to have, though. Not gonna lie. Sketchzone has its own studio, its own service provider, its own collection of artistic talent that we can talk to. We can basically do an unlimited amount of shows with an unlimited amount of funding. That would be fun. I'm ready for that. But what you call it, Apple is getting into that too, because they're coming out with their own content. They have their own delivery system, the Apple TV, the iPhones, iPads, and everything, and their iTunes and all that stuff, and they're coming out. They're actually creating the content. What it was, the Planet of the Apps, and
Yeah.
what was that other one? There's a carpool karaoke that they're doing. Everyone's really nervous about that. Because I mean that's what happens when you have a computer company with, you know, they're the largest corporation or the richest corporation in the history of the world. And what do you do to maintain that exponential growth? You get into creating content.
Yeah.
Kind of Amazon did that too, but then, you know, you end up as a consumer, you end up, if that's all that's available, what Apple is making and what Disney is making, what Amazon is making, then there's no one else out there making content, which is probably goes back to my original statement, why I watch YouTube as much as I do, because I want the real people to tell me the what's what and the who's who.
I think that's totally valid. I think that's a really important thing, is to support, not even independent, just individuals. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the individuals that are, that this stuff is coming from. I mean, yeah, you can band together and form a team and form a corporation and stuff, but you want to, who of us can relate to a corporation? You can't. It's, you want some, at the end of the day, we kind of watch this stuff and get attached to this stuff because of some sort of connection. You like talking about it with your friends. You like relating to the person that produced it. It's all that. And so, without this variation, this competition, we're sort of doomed to end up with just a muddy mess of all the same type of content.
Right.
And you can already see that. That's always happened in content and art and production history, is people like to feed off others and copy other successes and stuff. But even within singular companies, you see these sort of styles emerging, and to some degree that's what we're attracted to. Like, you look at HBO, and a lot of their tentpole shows have a very distinct style and a very distinct feel and look. The similarities between Westworld and Game of Thrones are almost uncanny. And although they're both really nice and well-produced shows and great to watch, can you imagine that on a larger scale, where it's like kind of everything starts to feel the same,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way, but that's very true. Did you ever there was an article that someone wrote. There was a writer that talked about how Game of Thrones is I don't even remember really the real words to it, but it's basically white people being confronted with or waiting for their white privilege and all this stuff, and the White Walkers are the white privilege.
Oh, yeah, there was
Winter's coming. Is
it was an article, yeah, actually, I think that Jibba posted that there's this basically saying that Game of Thrones is this giant allegory metaphor for white privilege. And which, I first read that and I chuckled and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I read it, and the more I read it, I was like, yeah, sure. It makes a lot of sense if you to some degree, any good story that's fully relatable can be kind of seen through any lens. But it was a pretty fun comparison.
That's too funny.
But it started off the article about commenting about how there's almost no black folks in the entire show.
I can't. I'm not even going to go down that road, because you got no Cubans anywhere ever. Like Lost
Yeah.
in Space, none. Star
Yeah.
Trek, none. Star Wars, none.
Well, starting to, and they're getting backlash, which is funny. So funny. You put one black guy as your lead character in there, and then all the white folks are like, "Whoa!"
Hey, everybody knows there's no black people in space.
Yeah, that's what we've been told for the past 100 years of film.
This is so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Uh what was the other thing? That perfect segue. Netflix and black folks. Netflix got together and signed LaShawn Thomas.
Yes. Yes.
And if you guys don't know who that is, he's an artist. I'm trying to get his background. I don't want to misspeak. LaShawn Thomas is an American television animation producer, director, animator, comic book artist, writer, character designer, storyboard artist based in Los Angeles. And I really, really, I would club a baby seal to get him on the show, but just kidding. I don't believe in clubbing baby seals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He just signed a huge deal with one of the big things. But before I was trying to remember this, but one of the big things that you guys would probably know him for is a comic strip by the name of Boondocks that then made it onto Adult Swim as an animation.
Yeah.
And Ricky just walked in the room and started jumping on me. But yeah, so he just signed a development deal with Netflix, which is exciting because, again, it's one of those things where Netflix has to get into development and creating their own content if they're going to compete with the people like the Disneys and just think if it's right around the corner where we talked about this briefly earlier, where all of these content companies, if everything is digital and you have all of your content sitting somewhere in a hard drive somewhere, you might as well make money off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to go ahead and put that on some kind of streaming service. And why not put it on your own streaming service, and then you're going to take those subscribers away from Netflix.
Right.
So Netflix has to get into their own development, developing their own content. And they have stuff like Orange is the New Black and
House of Cards.
House of Cards and
There's
stuff like that.
a lot of stuff on
there. Yeah. One of the funny things that they have, one of the funny shows that they have that it's a dirty pleasure. BoJack Horseman.
Which one? You broke up.
BoJack Horseman.
Oh.
It's so out there, but I love it so much. Oh my God. It's so good. So yeah, anyway, well, if you want to go take a look at BoJack Horseman, it's on Netflix, and it's about this horse that used to be a child star, and and he's trying to get back into the Hollywood lifestyle and everything, and it's bonkers. I'm trying to find. I had the link for the LeSean Cannon Busters. Here we go. So the show that LaShawn Thomas and Netflix are going to be working on together is called Cannon Busters. And there's some this is the more I look at this story, the more exciting it gets. Okay, so last year, crowdfunding helped development of a pilot for Cannon Busters, the animated series, a project from producer and director LaShawn Thomas, whose work has been seen on The Boondocks, The Legend of Korra, Black Dynamite, the animated series. Netflix has now announced that they have picked up the series for a 12-episode run. So, God, this is okay. So, you know how I always talk about, I'm a huge fan of people working on their own projects, and Kickstarters are really good. What is that? Not community, but you can see if people are going to like your project if you do a Kickstarter and whether or not it gets funded or not. Market research is what I'm looking for. If you go to Kickstarter and it's a flop, then you know that maybe you should start spending your time working on another idea. It's a cheap way.
Yeah,
it's a cheap way to do market research.
Yeah, I mean, I think you also need to take into account just how much exposure you had, and I mean, there's a lot of obstacles that come along with Kickstarter, but yes, I agree. I think
yeah, that's true. Let's go down that path, because if you don't have a following, if you have no following at all, and we've talked about this quite a bit, if you have no following at all and you have a great idea, you can go to Kickstarter and flop. Whereas if you have a following and your idea might not be that good, you might still get funded on Kickstarter just because of your following. However, if you have a following and your idea is fantastic, you see it happen over and over again, not necessarily specifically, the coolest cooler, but if you have a good idea and you have a decent following, it's going to be a really, really easy for you to get funded. And things like this happen where, this has happened to me where there was a what is it? I guess it was, what is it when you have an idea for a show and you just want to put together a pilot? I guess that's probably what it is. They were developing a pilot for this idea, and they went through the production staff went through Kickstarter, saw that I had one on there, and my Kickstarter kind of fit in nicely with the idea that they were trying to do. And so they reached out to me, and I was part of their pilot. I went down to Hollywood, and I was part of that. I don't know how much of that I can talk about, but so if you are successful in Kickstarter, kind of like LaShawn Thomas was, there's production people that are finding different ways to find different products to be able to put on their shelf. And so Kickstarter is a really good time, or a really good way to do that. I mean, it's happened to me, and and I'm not nearly as cool as LaShawn Thomas is.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, again, that's one of those things where, if you did a Kickstarter and people liked it, like there was someone that we had on the show. Here, hang on. This Bert and Fred, they were a Kickstarter, and it was successful, and I thought they were super cute. And if Dawn Griffin, she's been on the show, she had a long running web comic, and she did a Kickstarter, and she was super successful, and she had this done, and I thought it was really cool. So now she has the exposure of a successful Kickstarter. So if anyone wants a cartoon that has to do with a couple aliens that dress up in dog costumes, it's there. And you never know. Netflix might decide one day we're gonna need a couple
You're gonna need someone to produce that.
Yeah. So I mean, the possibility is there. But the cool thing is, in the time that we live in, it's possible for folks to. You don't necessarily have to be a Disney. You don't necessarily have to be a DreamWorks to create or to make it as a content creator.
Right. No, you definitely don't. And we see that happening all the time. I mean, people coming up either through something like Kickstarter or GoFundMe or Patreon or something where they're actually getting funds to produce it themselves. And then we've also seen it where they're on just their website, their blog, Tumblr, Twitter, you name it, and some larger company has discovered them and offered them
right
a TV or a movie gig. I mean, it does happen. Clearly, of the amount of people that are out there and the amount of content out there, it's certainly the exception, not the rule. But it is becoming easier now. If you take money, which nobody wants to do this, but if you take money out of the equation and that isn't so much your end goal, I mean, your possibilities are endless. I mean, you can.
Right.
And people will devour stuff for free. I mean, you can put it on. There's so many different distribution platforms and methods that you put it out there, and you're going to have readers and viewers and consumers practically instantly. I mean, the hunger and the need for content is just. It's crazy how insatiable it is, and I wonder if there's ever going to be a cap to that, or if it's just kind of human nature that we're always going to want more, and we're always going to want more. I don't know. What do you think about that question? I mean, because there's that side of the coin that affects not just you and me and independent producers, but large companies too. I mean, they're banking on the fact that, like Netflix, for example, they're banking on the fact that more content equals more viewers.
I think the Netflix approach more than more content equals more viewers. I guess let me say it like this. I hope what they're trying to do is create different style of content for different style of people. There's some stuff that I watch that you might not want to watch. And vice versa. And then there's stuff that, by the way, Charlie is on the chat room. We wish you were here too, Charlie. I know you would have a lot to say about this, but and even for example, Charlie would watch something on Netflix that Ava wouldn't necessarily watch on Netflix, but Netflix wants those eyeballs. And so it's not that they're trying to jam their channels with just a bunch of content just to be able to have content, but hopefully the thought is they're creating that content to have a wider variety for the amount of people that are out here.
Yeah, I do think that's a very valid consideration. I mean, the amount of viewers and the amount of diversity in the consumership is going to be reflected, hopefully, although, we see that time and time again of these uproars and protests about lack of diversity and lack of differences in shows and all that type of stuff. I mean, clearly the needs aren't being fully met, but I do think, I think you're correct. I think aside from visual representation and people wanting to feel like they themselves are represented, I think just the tastes in content certainly dictates a lot of that.
And that for me, having people like Netflix should be exciting to to those folks that want something different. Because look at it, Ryan.
You're getting
There's
flustered.
so much.
Getting
There's
flustered.
so much. I'm trying to pick a story to go with right now, but it's really easy to create content. Every week, you, me, and Charlie are here, and we're creating content. There's no difference from what we're doing here than what people are doing on the radio or in a TV station somewhere. I mean, technically there is, because we don't have a bunch of fancy lighting equipments and a bunch of fancy cameras and stuff, but we're creating the same kind of content. We each have our own backgrounds that we can bring expertise and an educated opinion about different things.
Right.
Right. And so hopefully that's the value added to what we're doing here. And then again, we have Midway Documentary, midwaydocumentary.com, where Ryan and I and the team are creating a documentary about, Chicago hip hop, the history of Chicago hip hop. So back in the day, whenever the hell that day was, it would be difficult. It would be difficult for people to create that content because the equipment was expensive. We had no way to show it to people and all this stuff. So technology is making it affordable and easy and to create it and to distribute it.
Yeah,
and that's what's exciting. So, but that's why I'm always getting on my soapbox when I say, if you have an idea, work on it. And if you're trying to work for Disney and DreamWorks and all that stuff, all of that makes sense. I would love to do that too, but my wanting to work at those companies to do whatever it is that, drawing or whatever nonstop forever, that fascinates me too. I want to be a part of that too. However, I'm going to continue to work on my own stuff, and my own stuff will hopefully turn into a portfolio piece that I can then show them. And at the end of the day, if they decided to not hire me, at least I have some content that I'm hoping that someone would want to watch. I'm creating the content that I think I would like to see. I like cracking jokes. I like telling stories. I like drawing. So I'm putting it all together and trying to put all that stuff together so other people can hopefully, enjoy the goofiness that I'm creating.
right.
So today is if you ever had an idea for an animation, a movie, anything like that, today, it has never been easier to work on those things and distribute those ideas more than today. And like LaShawn Thomas is showing us, and I know that there's a little bit of work or a little bit of luck that goes along with this too. But if you continue to work hard and the opportunity presents itself, you will be ready because you have been working on it for a long time or however long it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously luck is a major part of it. I don't want to underplay that. I think opportunity, doesn't always present itself. I think that's right time, right place type of thing. But, as those old sayings always go, if I don't even know how the saying goes, but the essence of it is, when it's knocking, you better have the answer. You need to be prepared, and even more so, you need to keep at it, because the more often you keep at it, the more likely you are. It's basic statistics, right? Like if the amount of people that it's I remember talking at schools or even being in schools and thinking about this stuff, and it's like, yeah, well, the number of people that actually make and get a show or a TV show or a comic book produced, is so rare and so minimal. You know, it's like 1 in a million or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that might be true, but there's 100 ways that you can increase those odds. You know, you might be 1 in a million if you only go to, you know, one comic convention a year and you talk to the one guy, the same guy every year. Hey, dude, do you want to buy my comic book? Do you want to buy my comic book?
Right.
But you got to talk to more people. You got to go to more conventions. You got to have your stuff. You know, the more often it's seen, the more likely it's somebody's going to be interested. The more you're advancing your skills, the more interest there will be. You know, and I mean, how many times did Charles Schultz try to pitch Peanuts before they were finally like, yeah, we'll take it, and look what happened to that. I mean, it's
right.
That's like one of the most common. It's so, you know, these stories we hear about people getting picked up out of nowhere, you know, just, oh, I saw your website and now suddenly they have a movie deal. I mean, yeah, does that happen? Yes. But it's really, really rare. That's like the rare that you shouldn't even, that's the one that you can't really, you can't increase your odds, because all those people are doing is just, they have a website and somebody saw it and was like, they called them up and was like, let's make a movie. I mean, that's talk about rarity. The more common case is, you know, people kept at it. They kept at it. I mean, the story about the guy who produced the Little Prince movie, you know, that ultimately ended up on Netflix. He apparently pitched that over 400 times.
Sweet.
You know, in different variations. You know, it grew here and grew there, and he had little maquettes printed, and he rewrote the story a couple of times and rewrote this and that. But I mean, imagine pitching that professionally 400. Like, you got to have persistence. you have to have persistence in this field to get anything done. I mean, it's, you know,
they say, what's the saying? It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah, and that's the truth. It does. The successes I've had in my life have literally hit me overnight. They just appear. They knock on my door and say, "Hey, do you want a job at DreamWorks? Hey, do you want a job at Digital Man? Hey, do you want to work on this wine label? Hey, you know?" It's like this random stuff that just comes out of nowhere. But had I not been working all this time building up the experience and building up the portfolio, that offer would have never been on the table. Or if it was, I wouldn't have been able to secure it, because I didn't have the necessary skills and I didn't have the necessary portfolio to back it up.
Or how about this? And I'm sure you get to talk to a lot of folks like this a lot more than I do, but you're out and then someone comes up and is like, oh my God, like, I totally want to work for DreamWorks. I'm so passionate about animation. I'm so passionate about artwork and stuff like that. And you say, oh yeah? What are you working on?
That's exactly it. You know, there's a lot of wishing and wanting. But the first, you're the one who told me, and I love this saying. I think it's your dad or somebody used to say this, like, someday is going to be a great day around here. It's like there's so many people like that wish and want and say someday, tomorrow I'm going to do, you know, and it's like, no, you got to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, nothing in the future is going to happen until you've got a bunch of stuff behind you in the past. I mean, it's
right.
And the easiest way to do that is to just start doing. It doesn't matter how good or how bad it is. It's just to start doing. And you would be surprised by, I think self-doubt and self-consciousness is like, that's the number one killer of all good projects. I mean, it's, I'm not good enough for this, and of course, you know, let's be realistic. You know, there's a time and a place where you got to cut your losses and realize that you're not cut out for something. But I mean, that's like way down the line, you know, after you've spent all your money and you've lost your wife, and even then, and even then you hear stories about people that have done that they have lost literally everything. They were on the street, and then that's when it all happened. You know, they could really refocus their passion. And
what's his name? I can't remember his name right now. He played Medea.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry was homeless, and he kept writing screenplays. And then he pitched a
I mean,
screenplay to whoever it was, and the dude was living out of his car and
yeah.
sold the
I mean,
screenplay.
it's J.K. Rowling. I mean, probably the highest paid author ever now. And she was living in, struggling to pay her rent. Her lights were shut off several times. Like I mean, there's all sorts of stories how
That
she
happens.
would go down and sit in her car because it was the only place that was heated. Um, you know, and like, and then on top of it, she thought that stuff was about to get cracking, and her book sold, and it sat for I think 2 to 3 years totally unnoticed, like a couple 100,000 copies, if that, on London bookshelves, just in and out of stupid bookstores that nobody paid attention to. And then all of a sudden one day someone big got a hold of it and was like, why is this not bigger? And we all know where it went from there. Talk about a $40 billion property. It's
Right. When it's time, it's time. And no one knows when it's going to hit.
yeah, you don't. And the reality is not all of them do hit. Not all of them do.
Right.
And that's all the more reason to produce more content.
And for no other reason, my, I know I talk about this from time to time, but I have Robots and Aliens, and I don't talk about it a lot because it's just it's for me, just there. It's for me to exercise storytelling, drawing, all that stuff. So it's there. I hope people enjoy it. But if they don't, that's cool too, because it's not really for you, I guess. If you like it, it's for you. If it's not, then it's not. But I always struggle with, I want to draw something. I don't know what I want to draw. And Robots and Aliens gives me that very thing. I have a story. I have something to draw. And it's a really cool exercise. So then if anyone ever comes to me and says, hey, can you draw something like this or like that? I'm ready.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it. I don't need to warm up. I don't need to do it. I've been doing it for years now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing is I think it's really easy, especially in this monetary based, famous, Instagram famous, Vine famous day and age, where everybody thinks that the only way to make it in the world is to be famous and make a ton of money. And there's
Helps.
it does help. It does help, but I think something that's going to last you, and this sounds starting to get corny and like kitschy and all that stuff, but something that's going to last you a lot longer and actually get you through the times, until you reach that point is actually liking it, doing it because it's like you said, it's like therapy. It's a project. It's something to do. It's an exercise. It's cathartic because you're telling a story you want to tell, or it's exercising your mental skills. I mean, all that stuff is what keeps you going. And the name of this game is endurance. I mean, you got to be able to hang on. You gotta keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able to create, and I try to manufacture deadlines for myself just to keep that excitement of, oh my God, that time is coming. I really have to shut everything down and focus on that one thing. I use that as that excuse all the time. And then what's funny is a friend of mine, he started reading the comic strip, and he thought it was pretty funny. And he's the local cobbler here, and he started telling me stories of his daily interaction with his customers and stuff, and all of that turned into, I redesigned his business cards, and we have an online comic strip now too. And it's all because he read my comic strip.
Right.
So It's just funny how if you continue to create, if you continue to push, if you continue to focus, if you continue to exercise that creative part of your brain, things happen. Things will continue to happen. Even if it's just you getting better at your craft, things will happen. Good things are going to happen. And then if you just sit there, you know, what was it that we said a couple weeks ago? Like someone was upset because they went to art school and the art school was like, okay, well, yeah, you got a job at Kinko's. That's a related skill. So if,
Right.
if you give up on yourself, the world is going to give up on you too.
They already did if you did.
Yeah.
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 I mean, there's all. Yeah, I mean, there's countless sayings that no matter how corny they are, they still totally ring true. I mean, there's that Wayne Gretzky thing: you miss 100 shots, you don't take 100% of shots you don't take. I think my grandpa or somebody used to say, you know, you don't catch any fish if you're pulling in the water. You know, it's like you gotta you gotta be out there and doing it. You gotta get the exposure, even if your stuff is terrible, even if you're the worst. You can't. No, I'm serious. You can't even. You can't even begin the process until you're in the. You can't swim unless you're in the pool. You know, like you want if you want feedback, if you want a professional to look at your work, if you want to contact, well, you got to have that work. You got to have something to talk about.
Right.
You got to have that icebreaker.
And if you want to see, I mean, go to robotsandaliens.com and go to the very first few. You're going to be like, holy crap, those are horrible. And then you're going to go throughout the years and I'm hoping that I'm getting better. I know that I am, but
yeah,
I'm feeling a lot better about what I'm doing. And then go to my portfolio site, and some of the things that I have in there, I'm like, holy crap, me bragging about myself. I'm like, holy crap, I've gotten so much better.
Yeah.
And then now I'm getting to the point where I'm creating little exercises for myself. So when I do Midway Radio with Ryan and the team, I try to draw little caricatures of the people that are on the show. And I went from not being able to, like, from being hot trash to having to draw part of the drawing during the show and then finishing up later, to being able to draw on the show and finishing and showing a pretty finished piece at the end of the show. And the show is like an hour and a half to 2 hours long, I think. Between an hour and 2 hours, right? Quick little shout out to Spicer McElroy. You're welcome, man. Thanks for coming and being on the chat. Yeah, so that, I mean, you gotta, with the 10,000 hour rule, anything that you do for 10,000 hours and you're going to end up getting better.
Yeah.
Whether it's storytelling, whether it's drawing, whether it's painting, whether it's whatever.
And even if you, like we were just talking about before, even if you don't get better, you at least now have a portfolio and something to show that you can and have done X, you know.
Right. And you're going to make, I mean, if your ultimate goal is to make some sort of money off of your art, you're going to make some sort of money. The more you work at it and the better you get, you're going to make some sort of money. For example, yeah, 10,000 hours group on Facebook. Our buddy runs that. Whatchamacallit, the 3D guy. He was on the show before. Anyway, I was out. I went camping a couple weeks ago. I went camping, and there was one of my friends had this jet ski that just sounded like it needed to be taken in the woods and shot. It just sounded, a jet ski sounded sick. And so, you know, I had taken out my sketchbook. I just wanted to sit out and draw a little something. So I drew a picture of him on a jet ski, and he's just a character. He had cowboy boots, shorts made out of, well, not made out of, but the design was the American flag, and he was wearing a cowboy hat. And so I drew a cartoon of him on his jet ski. And now I just got a message on Instagram. This guy wants to pay me to draw a picture of him in a similar way.
Yeah,
It happens. It's going
it
to
does.
happen.
That happens. And if you like, if you haven't done it, but you have the ability, let me phrase it this way: if there's something you want to do professionally, if there's something you want to get paid for, but you haven't yet landed that gig, and you have the ability to just do it yourself, just do it yourself. Like Carlos just said, like he did this drawing, and then he got a guy who wanted to do it. That's how I got my first, doing wine labels. I didn't have any experience working in wine labels. I'm not even a professional graphic designer. But I was like, it'd be cool to have my artwork on a wine label. So I did some fake mock-ups. And before you knew it, within a couple months, somebody contacted me, "Hey, do you do wine labels?" "Yes, I do." And it's not even,
you should ask.
And it's not, and then I don't have to say like, "Well, I've never done them before." I mean, yeah, was it ever produced and put on a bottle of wine? No, but I have the experience. I did it. I have photographic, even if it's photoshopped, I have examples of what it could look like. You do, same thing happened to me for a vinyl. I just think vinyls are cool. I wanted to do a vinyl. I was like, well, I haven't done it, so I'm just going to do some fake ones. And then some guy contacted me, "Hey, we want to do a vinyl." Well, it started with a CD cover, and then that led to later a vinyl thing. So if you have the ability to do something you want to do, but you can't get paid for it, just freaking do it. And sooner or later, you're going to find out that you'll be doing it and getting paid for it.
Yeah. So let me tell the story then, and then my little pep talk. I was sitting around. I really like this wine. And so I took, they don't even, well, they got bought out, so it doesn't even matter. They thought that I had spent all kinds of time. I took my iPhone, and I have one of those roller skate dollies.
Mm-hmm.
And I recorded it was a pan, and then their wine bottle, and there was a glass of wine right next to it, and it was right next to a pool, and then perfectly timed, here comes the little floaty thing, just kind of the floaty ring kind of comes in, and then I was like, wine, so but perfect for summer, whatever it was. They loved it, and they didn't give me cash. They gave me a whole bunch of wine though. I will work for trade.
Yeah, I will work for cases of wine. Payment comes in many forms.
And then that turned into a portfolio piece. It looks really good.
And you can say that it was effectively, I mean, you did that for free just for the hell of it. They liked it, they took it, and now you have a profession. Like now it's a profession. Like it's like that's what I mean. I was doing a wine label, and I was doing a vinyl just for fun. Those will never be professional things because they were just made up bands and made up, wine labels. But you did something, you did something for a company. They liked it, they used it, so you ended up becoming professional without being professional, like just by doing it.
Yeah. And now I have a commercial. Now I have a commercial on my demo reel.
You're a commercial director. You are.
Yeah. And that was going to lead to something that I was going to say, and I completely forgot what it was.
I got nothing. Can't help you.
This is it. What I was going to say is there's a lot of, and I know that we've had this conversation. I remember back in the early days of the show when Tyrus was still on, Tyrus was like, well, if you're new, you got to take your hits and all this other stuff. And I'm like, no, you got to get paid, right? Because if I'm going to work for free, I want to work on my own stuff for free. If I'm going to work on your stuff, you're going to get financial benefit. I need financial benefit. And I guess that's the point I was going to make. You don't necessarily have to, like, if you're going to do something for free, like I was a big fan of that wine company. I wasn't expecting to to get paid for it. I just
Sure,
wanted
sure.
to. I
You
just
had it
wanted
planned.
to. No, it really did pay off in a lovely way. But I was sitting there. I had just gotten this roller skate dolly, and I was like, let's do this. I was doing it as an exercise, right?
Yeah.
But it was still something that I wanted to do. They didn't come to me and say, hey, let's do this. You do this commercial for us for exposure.
Yeah.
Right. I can create my own exposure. That's why I have 2 comic strips, a podcast, and I'll
You can totally create your own exposure. It's the easiest thing to do.
and you just got done saying that. You came up with your own wine brand and
Yeah.
you designed your own wine label. I've done that too. I talked to a guy, a friend of mine that's trying to start his own wine label out here, or his own wine line, I guess. And so we got to talking, and he was drunk, and he gave me enough information for me to be like, oh, okay, cool. And so I did a lot of research, and I went and created a wine label, and I sent it to him, and dude was like, I don't even remember really telling you all this stuff. But when his wine is ready, hopefully he'll take a look at my wine label and use that, or at least want to make changes to it. But it's really cool creating stuff and inspiring people to do whatever it is that they need to do. But don't.
Yeah, and the difference between what Tyrus and a lot of folks advocate, and there's a time and a place, I think, for that, especially when you're in a large company or working for a client. You don't get a lot of say to just do whatever you want. Right. But if you're at the point where you're before that, before you're already in the door and you're already working for somebody, the situations that we're talking about here, not only does it create exposure, and it creates experience and content and portfolio and all that stuff, there's another aspect of it, attacking it from this angle, that I think is probably the most beneficial, aside from all of that, is that it gives you the leverage. Hey, it's Charles.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Chuck is here. Yes.
Let me finish this thought, and then we'll chime you in.
Okay.
Doing it this route, where you create something and you make up a brand, or you present it to somebody, is it gives you the power, it gives you the leverage. And why is that? Because you've created something out of passion, and I don't know why it works, but it shows. People can tell when something was created passionately and when it was created for a paycheck, or just because they were forced to by gunpoint. It just shows somehow. But on top of that, you've created something out of passion that the client likes. They haven't even paid for it yet. That's the best possible situation you can be in. Now they want you because you've created something that caught their eye, and they didn't even know they wanted it. That's like the ideal, most powerful leverage you can possibly have. And I've been in that situation before, where clients come to me because they're like, we want you because of your style, because of this look. Like, that automatically puts me, so not even just on the top of the stack of the resumes, like I'm like in a whole nother ball field. Everybody else is outside waiting to get in, because they already know that this is what they want. This is what it looks like. All I got to do is just seal the deal and agree to it, basically. It's like, and yeah, they may not be offering the best terms for finance or compensation or all that. That's totally up to you. You can turn it down at any point. That's what I mean. It's yours to lose.
But that someone wants it.
Yeah, that somebody wants
viable.
It. Yeah. You've flipped the tables. Like, you now have something that the client wants, rather than the client saying, we're seeking a graphic designer or animator, and you're saying, don't you want me? Don't you want me? No, the tables are already flipped.
Right.
Yeah.
And the value added is instant.
Yeah.
They don't have to, you don't have to pitch them on the idea. The idea is done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I always say this, it's a lot easier to walk into a meeting and say, this is a coffee cup. How do we make it better? Versus, think of a coffee cup.
Yeah. Tell me what you would like to see in a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Like, that's asking for 10,000 opinions and you
And
know,
nothing but trouble.
and arguments and trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Charles.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Escape Zone. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing
Cool.
good. So Charlie just got in from the Chimeras thingamajig.
Yeah, we hosted Chimeras, the Chimeras group, this tonight over at my studio next now, and they did a seminar on making artwork, which is, as we know, because we had Chimeras on the show, we know that they're building their creative community here in Chicago, and eventually it's going to grow, and it is growing into workshops, user workshops, mentorships that they're offering on their website, and a host of other kind of services. And they've been doing these meetups to build the community and spread the word, like when they were on the show. So after having the guys on the show and being good friends and working with them in the past, I said, yo, I have an amazing space in my studio. You guys should do your next one there. And Dave took me up on the offer, Dave Cosciuto, and him and Roger Ewing and Travis Overstreet and and Amy took me up, and then they had a great event tonight at my studio. I kind of opened the doors and played host, and they had a craft beer vendor come in, and he was the best beer vendor I've ever met.
Do they want to design for their label?
They were the
I have a beer label example.
He was the broiest beer vendor guy in the best possible way. Like, he's the dude you see on a Sam Adams commercial that like brews the stuff. that's what he looked like. He's like almost like a 2017 version of Token Gnome or something. It was awesome. It was awesome. He was a cool guy, very energetic. You know how somebody just loves what they do? As soon as he starts talking, he's like, "Hey, yeah, I got to." I was like, "Whoa!"
Just got to talking about that.
This dude is amazing at what he does, and he's just selling beer. So right. He came in. Chimeras had great sponsors like our friends over at CG Cookie, our friends over at Rogo Fugi, the custom vinyl toy shop. Design Press. What is it called? I'm forgetting all the other ones. A bunch of they gave away a bunch of art books. They had basically like a swag bag. I feel like I was going to like my daughter's birthday party I'm hosting in a couple weeks. You know how little kids get swag bags when they leave? Everybody got a bag of stuff. I'm like,
so basically what you're saying is at your daughter's birthday party, you're going to give all the kids beer?
Yes, and art books.
You have to do before and afters. Like, here's your art book, draw something,
right,
and then get them drunk, and then say,
and throw them in the bouncy house. It was a great event, man. Roger Ewing is the one who did the talk tonight. He went through everything from being a freelancer, how navigating that, getting full time. It was a good group of I think recently graduated students, a couple senior motion guys, motion developers, and motion designers, I should say, 3D artists. It's a good mix, young crowd, but good mix. That's what they need, right? They need the people to mentor. 80 people signed up, and it sold out. And I would say the traditional 10% didn't show, so it was 10 to 20% didn't show, so it was 60 people. It was packed.
That's still a good turnout.
Packed. Yeah, and that's usually how it is. It's 60, 70 people. You're gonna get that 10% not show. So it was packed, all the way from front to back. And then they ordered Luminati. Sorry, Carlos, there's not Illuminati's by you, but they ordered Luz.
I get that shipped out, kid. Don't worry about me. I get my Luz.
Yeah, so they did that. And it was from 6:30 to about 9. I started kicking people out. You ain't got to go, but I got to go home.
Yeah.
Get out of my studio. Because slowly everybody left that I work with. And all my bosses left. And they're like, all right, Charlie, you got it. See ya. And then I realized, I can't leave anymore. I have to close this place up. So it was good. It was very, very
That's
good.
awesome.
I'm looking forward to seeing them grow their community and then start rolling out their workshops. And they have a workshop for character artists. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, be on the lookout for Chimeras. They're having a character workshop at Rotofugi. So great place at the gallery. So if you don't know what Rotofugi is, ROTO Fugi, Fugi. Look them up. It's a custom vinyl shop, and they have an art gallery connected to the shop too. So what better place to host a workshop about character design, in a
So if you want to
toy shop.
If you want to find out more about Chimeras, it's CHIM as in Mary, IRUS.com, chimeras.com. They're really cool. They're very active on the on their Twitch channel too. So it's twitch.tv/chimeras.
They're doing a stream this week, or they're doing a stream coming up. So check their Twitch channel to see when they're doing it. So they promoted that very heavily. Travis Overstreet's been doing the character
He's
design.
been killing it too. Like I love. He's one of the guys that is not afraid to show how he does uses reference materials. So he'll go and he'll come up with a random name. There's a random name generator, and so it comes up with 3 random words, and then he draws whatever that is, and then he goes and he gets his reference materials, puts it all together on the same Photoshop document, and then he'll go and from scratch starts drawing, and then he takes it all the way to done. It's really well worth the time to go check that out. So it's Chimeras, CHIMIRUS.com or twitch.tv/chimeras. I know they've been streaming on Thursdays.
I'm sure they'll be back
right before we go live. They're kind of finishing up. So yeah, those guys are doing it's a really unique idea that they're doing. It's not necessarily a training program, more than almost like a coaching program.
Yeah, they're really big on mentoring, and that's what they try to drive home to the audience, because obviously they're trying to garner that stuff. And they're not in it for money. So there's a thing they're even doing, and you'll like this, Carlos and Jack. You'll like this. Tonight, if you went to the event tonight, Amy's going to send out a questionnaire, like a survey to tell them how they're doing. And if you do the survey, you get a voucher for a free portfolio review.
What?
Wow.
You mean a professional is going to take a look at their portfolio and actually tell them
feedback on their
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. So it's good. It was a good event.
That's awesome.
I was very happy it went well.
So yeah, we were talking about we started talking about Netflix, and then Netflix signed a deal with LaShawn Thomas, and then that turned into how I didn't know this, but LaShawn's cartoon, the new one, the one that got signed on for Netflix, Cannon Busters, was actually he did a Kickstarter.
They had a dream team put together with that.
That's amazing.
Joe Madden worked on it too.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, a bunch of people working on it. It was good.
Yeah, so and then that spawned into, we were talking about, you don't know where success is going to come, as if you're working on your own stuff. It
falls in your lap.
Whether it's practice, whether you end up making money off of it, whatever. Like technology is that these days where it's possible. And even if you don't get signed by Netflix, there's people making money off of YouTube.
Yeah. And Twitch.
And
good money, quitting jobs. If you put the work in. I mean, I only follow one guy. Really, I follow a bunch of streamers who's been like that. but I've seen them when they're like, their page is half done. They just started out, and it's so cool to see them in it, because people don't know streaming's hard to do. I mean, we do it once a week, but to be like a YouTube personality or streamer that's doing it every day, especially if you do Twitch, you have to like do what we're doing tonight every night for a certain amount of time to garner a following of people.
Yeah.
We've taken time to get a couple of our not a couple, but of people following us. But imagine trying to do that. It's like having a TV show that you have to create content for and be entertaining.
Right.
I love watching that and seeing people get bigger and bigger. Then they start going to the Twitch cons, and they go into the BlizzCons and the SIGGRAPHs and the game developer conferences and all the other like conventions, and then coming back and reporting to their fan base. And the next you see that first sponsor, and they're so happy that headphone place or keyboard place that sponsored them. Then another one rolls in, and then another studio gets a hold of them because maybe an artist or somebody at the studio likes their stream and says, hey, you should use that streamer to help promote the game before it comes out, or give them an early beta, and then they play that.
Get this. This is
it's good.
I've been talking about these guys kind of all almost all night, but again, Ryan and the Midway team, I was like, Ryan, look, we got to get the team in front of people, because the personalities of everyone is going to help us succeed and everything. So let's do this podcast. Let's get Midway Radio going. And so we get Midway Radio going, sponsored by Shure Microphones.
Nice.
I was like, you're welcome.
Now get us some microphones. It's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of being able to do your own thing and technology making it super easy to do things, I was listening to Radiolab, and I guess with what is it? With what did Spider-Man's uncle tell him? With great
power
comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Radiolab had a couple shows actually about this new Adobe technology called Voco, VOCO.
I glanced at that in our chat. What is that?
Imagine, so you have Adobe Audition. That's their
right.
That's their audio software. Imagine that, but you can take, I think they want at least 20 minutes of someone talking, up to 40 minutes, to as much audio as you can get recorded from a person. You take that audio, you drop it in this software.
Mm-hmm.
The software learns how this person speaks, and then you can start creating sentences that this person may or may not have said.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. So
have we tried this yet?
yes. You can see videos. If you do a search for Adobe Voco, VOCO, they're literally taking, so the software will go through and it'll write out everything that the person has said.
Yeah. I mean, it's effectively the same technology behind like most GPSs and stuff, and Siri and all that stuff. But it's shocking how far it's progressed.
It's really good.
It's not just like, I said this and then I said that. Like, it has all the like inflections with the ums and the like pauses, and it's really kind of scary.
Yeah.
So what would you use it for?
The way that oh, go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead.
The way that Adobe sees it happening is let's say you are, you know how you could have a movie that's playing on TNT that you can't have bad words. So what you do is, instead of dubbing over it, and then say a movie is something 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 with a, instead of beeping it out, you would then be able to take the audio track from
Just
that
change the
video,
line.
change that F bomb to darn, and
Yeah.
then I would say, oh, what the darn, right?
Oh, okay.
And with the inflections,
Mm-hmm.
with there's no audio change at all.
So anybody try to put in like Trump's voice?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what Radiolab was talking about. Because if you remember, right before he became president, Trump was talking about grabbing ladies' naughty bits,
Mm-hmm.
but there was no video. It was just the audio.
Right.
So now someone can legit go and just start creating a bunch of Trump audio blah buzz,
Mm-hmm.
leaking a bunch of audio that he never said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like the Photoshop's clone tool, but audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean now, I mean with the recreating of people's likenesses with visual effects, I mean that paired with audio, I mean, who's to know like what's even real? I mean, you can literally just create anything you want, and it's like, how do you verify?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, and another thing that they said that would be able to work, I think they used the cute blonde from Friends. She's super popular.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, they said, let's say Jennifer Aniston did a commercial for some sort of hair product, but then they're selling this same hair product in Japan.
Yeah.
So you could have the video of Jennifer Aniston and then a Japanese voiceover artist doing the voiceover for the Jennifer Aniston video, or you can teach this software to do Jennifer Aniston voice and then have her speaking fluent Japanese through the software. You don't have to, you don't necessarily have to pay her to re-record. You don't have to pay her to learn Japanese and then re-record the entire thing. You would just,
yeah, I mean, but do you think these actresses and actors are going to go for that? That they're going to be like, yeah, you don't have to pay me for that. I mean, come on.
Well, I think, yeah, I think it's all part of their original. Again, I'm talking as if I know, but the original contract would stipulate, yes, we're going to run these commercials in the US and Japan and whatever other country, and all of that, like these people get paid off of where they're running these commercials. Yes. However, the thing is, you would record it. Let's just say you record this once. You don't have to pay them to record this commercial 3 times for the 3 different countries.
Right.
Does that make sense? You pay them for one recording, and then you pay them for whatever countries you run it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume it would be like a discounted rate or something. I don't know how that's going to work out. But I mean, imagine if we had like Adobe Art that you just plug in who you like, and it just generates something that looks like that person's style. I mean, it's...
Google is doing something like that.
Yeah, they have similar stuff. Yeah, and now they have the neural networks, they call them, where you feed together a bunch of information and then it outputs something similar. And there's a whole bunch of these ones where you can feed it source images, and then someone will draw. You can draw whatever you want, and it basically extrapolates your lines and outputs an image that looks similar to the original source photos based on your lines. So like you can generate people on the fly. You could input a bunch of like Leonardo da Vinci paintings, and then you could create a random Da Vinci painting on the fly. Like it's getting really kind of nutty.
Technology is getting creepy.
Yeah, it's getting real.
What was I going to tell you? Oh, I've been watching Procreate on Instagram.
Yeah, new
Procreate 4 is coming out in the fall, and it's going to be bonkers.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't watched it yet. Can you fill us in with a little bit of something that's happening?
So the new operating system for iOS has this kit called, what's it called? I forget what it's called. I'll take a look right now. But it's a new way that they are processing graphics. And so it's way more powerful. And it's letting the blending, the watercolors, the way you mix colors in Procreate is going to be completely different. They have new layer styles. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. Crazy
that are going to be way more powerful, right? And so one of the
You're selling this one. You're selling this real good.
Keep going. Keep going. Work it.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Buddy. More stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be colorful.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the search and everything all at the same time.
This is gonna have the refined interface, right? They have a couple new.
The interface probably isn't going to change all that much.
That's what it says.
But the cool thing is, I mean, they have a lot of drag and drop features that are going to work. Some of the more, a little bit more techie side of things is you can grab brushes from the file system and drag them over to Procreate, and they'll load automatically instead of having to do the goofy way that they're forced to do it now.
Yeah, that's what they're saying here too. They're like, what they say, every pixel in Procreate has been polished to make your workflow faster, easier, downright prettier.
Yeah,
I guess it's the same type of like marketing. See all your brush sets at a glance, like you just said.
Yeah, I was literally using that words. What was it? So that hurt, Jack. That was, I don't know what you're doing, but don't do that.
Laughing.
Anymore.
He's laughing.
Like straight up in his microphone.
Get loaded.
I didn't realize this thing was working. I thought I was talking. Never mind. Sorry about that.
What's it like? This graphics kit is called like not Chrome, but something like that.
The what?
The graphics kit that you can use in iOS. The new way of rendering graphics. Metal. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they had this environmental painting that someone did in Procreate, and then they created a new ad layer, and then they started painting on this ad layer, and it started adding lights, highlighting this one little area that they had in the painting. And then he's like, oh, and over here it looks a little dark too, so I'm just gonna go ahead and like brush over here, and it added so much more dramatic lighting to this painting that they had created in Procreate. Yeah, it was just really cool.
They added layer masks too, like a new way of doing layer masks and sponge.
That's another thing that needs to happen. We don't have good layer masks.
Really, you're gonna have them. That's cool.
In any of these softwares.
They're saying something else here. Oh, was that the environment painting you were talking about? Where it's the wet painting? That's the word they're using.
It might be.
It's called wet painting. All new, based on the metal engine. That's cool.
Yeah, those guys are about to crush. What was it? It was.
This image looks awesome. Looks like a gallery painting.
Anyway, so yeah, you can go to procreate.art, PROCREATE.ART, or Instagram.com/procreate. It's fantastic what they're doing.
Looking really
They've been
good.
doing a lot of live.
Make a standalone version of this thing, or is it always just going to be on the iPad?
I think it's iPad. I think everyone is moving to iPad. I mean, Adobe has been doing, for the past 3 days, Adobe has been doing live streams with artists drawing in Adobe Photoshop Sketch and Adobe Illustrator Draw on the iPad.
Look, they gave you a new gallery. So what is that version on Adobe's version of that? What's the gallery feature called?
It's just
Bridge, right? Yeah. So it's like your own little version of Bridge.
Oh yeah,
gallery. Where you can manage all your artwork now.
Yeah.
It's like a file browser or something. Drag and drop, transfer files, stack and organize them, kind of like your iPhone. You stack icons on top of each other and makes a folder. Now, this is what Mike Henry uses, right? This is his main program. So
yeah,
probably really excited.
He's like practically a spokesperson for them.
Yeah. What was it? I noticed that they were doing something together. I wasn't paying attention. So my English is failing me right now because I don't remember what the hell they were doing together. But I know that I saw both of their names together, doing something together.
I hope they give it to him. I can't wait to see how he started mixing his colors. He already was doing really vivid coloring and stuff in the current one. So add all these new things.
Yeah, this new stuff is going to be bananas.
Cool.
And with that said, you know what time it is?
What?
I don't know if I do know what time it is.
So I warned Jack that I'm probably going to be breaking artist inspiration.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know if it's going to get any better than this.
I don't know.
I don't know if it gets any better.
If it's that good, I'm not putting one in. Just so you know.
I got one, but you're gonna go first because I want to see yours.
Okay, I want you guys to go to.
Oh, stop it! Stop it! These are paintings, right?
Alexis Vicky, ALEXIS VICKI.
Yeah.
Listen to me when I tell you. She has a fan for life.
Yeah, she's good.
She has been crushing Procreate. She's been crushing Photoshop. When I found her, I'm gonna flip over here real quick. You guys see that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are her process videos. If you go to her YouTube, and I'm gonna put all of these in we'll put them all in the show notes. But listen, Alexis has been, and let me, you know what's frustrating?
Catch your breath. Catch your breath.
You know what's frustrating? Hang on, I'm gonna read her profile real quick. Nope, that's not where it's.
Why are you doing that?
Maybe it's on Instagram. But listen, she's like 21 years old.
Ooh, it's a blow.
She's like 21 years old, just putting amazing artwork.
So she's not even in her prime yet.
No, she still has some learning to do.
She's not like 32 and like just got her swag all figured out.
Right. No, she's got to figure it out, and she's only going to get better because she has time to get better. Look at this. And what's impressive here, let's go here. We don't always do this, but let's do it this time. Because she's...
Give me a good one.
frustratingly good.
Oh, that's what you call the singer. Ooh, she got good taste.
All right. So she starts by scribbling just a bunch of random colors.
The background stuff, yeah.
Right. And then she cuts out the silhouette.
Oh, shut up.
She flips the canvas to make sure that the proportions are correct.
Gosh, darn
she doesn't want any lopsided circles, nothing. Man. She's throwing down values. Oh, there's little shallow shadows. Oh, here his drawers and his socks. Listen to me when I tell you.
That shit just makes me want to quit.
Gosh, Carlos might got him one today. Hold on.
I'm not even going to present.
Her process videos alone. And let me tell you. The technology is getting better. So it's going to be so much fun to see Alexis get her hands on this new Procreate.
Man, what are we missing? Did she just like paste in a photo all of a sudden? Like, what happened?
Got him. Yep.
She just smeared paints. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little tennis shoe in there. Look at that. Got the tube socks with the
what is this again? Photoshop?
This might be Procreate.
Doesn't even matter.
This might be Procreate.
No, it's Magic. She's just using Magic. It doesn't even matter.
Oh no, this is Photoshop because it says download my brush set here. So there. Let me tell you.
But they make brushes for Procreate. Could be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good point. Let's see.
Oh man. I got some work to do.
And she's like, yeah, this dude's wearing his drawers and some socks, but let's put a bird on his finger. Like, come on, son.
She just thought of that real quick. Looking like a real bird.
Yeah, these are Photoshop. She's got Photoshop brushes.
Stop refining that face, man.
I'll give you. The more you look at it, that's what they do.
What is this hat? What is she adding a hat? I'm gonna add a hat.
You know why? Because she can.
Because she can.
Like, what the hell?
Listen to me when I tell you.
We'll put some flowers here.
Here. Just because he looks like he needs and some petals just to make it look real. Here, put some highlights on the shoelaces. Come on, son. I saw this.
I got work to do. What are we doing on this podcast?
Look there's the finished piece.
So remember all that stuff we said about just do it? Yeah, I gotta get on that.
Yeah. I can't even like, and then just like these face ones are just real AF. Look it starts with a bunch of splotches.
Yeah, but even that's cool. I would hang that on my wall. Wait, hang on. Don't skip like that. That made me think she's magic. I mean, she is magic.
She's magic.
I mean, she is magic, but that made me think like she did that in 3 strokes, just like bam.
like as she's working, she did a smudge. She's like, "Oh, there it is. Let's pull it out."
Yeah, I just like look at that whoosh whoosh, the swish thing, and then all of a sudden it looks like a real thing, like America.
Really, that's like 4 hours.
Busting out America Ferrera, Ugly Betty and stuff.
I don't know what it's going to take to get Alexis Franklin on this show.
Easy.
We need to just contact her.
But
damn, son.
Look at this.
Yo.
But
she just,
with all due respect to,
I'm just gonna be.
With all due respect to everyone else who has been on this show, and
now you just need to stop talking.
Alexis Franklin, you are on my bucket list.
Why does she only have 960 views? Why are people not watching?
No, that's because we need to have her on the show. So then that'll be up to like 962 in no time.
Then a year from now, she blows up.
She's amazing.
This is like that one guy I posted like way back. Like it's like
sometimes
when they just like start to like.
Yeah,
That looks cool.
Let's play that one.
Does
she have a process on that one?
That one's cool because
this one,
it's dark. I don't. It's like it's had to just been like splotches.
Hang on, let's see. So yeah, Alexis Franklin. Hashtag bucket list.
Like. I press like.
You like?
No, she doesn't have one of that one.
Subscribed and a likey like. Fangirl.
Yeah.
She's been sponsored by Adobe. She better. She did some Adobe commercials. Look at this. Yeah, she better. Adobe's got some learning to do.
Adobe's not dumb. Adobe jumped on that.
He's gonna learn today.
You'll learn.
Yes. He's gonna learn today.
That's right.
That's right.
What you know about big brushes? Artstation.com.
Let me hear you spell Alexis Franklin.
Alexis.
A-L Franklin.
Wow. Check.
Artstation.com / Alexis Vicky Vicki.
Why'd she do that?
I missed last week.
She took her iPad and put her foot straight through it.
I got about 4 or 5 ready.
That's just nuts.
I'm ready.
Nuts.
Can I go now?
I'm not going, so go ahead.
Because I got 2.
I'm for real.
I got
for
2.
real.
I was ready. You're not going? Really?
No, I'm looking at mine right now, and I'm legitimately embarrassed. I'm like, legitimately embarrassed. I'm like, nah. I almost pressed unfollow. I won't even tell you who it is.
A message. You should be
because I don't want him to feel bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll go next.
So
while Jack contemplates on going.
Nah.
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, you did good, family. Cool.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
So mine this week, because
Charlie trying to keep up.
I ain't trying to keep up. You finally got your one. I do this every week, buddy. This is welcome to my space.
So good.
So I got a couple, but I got this one that I found that I wanted to do last week, but I wasn't on the show last week. But I was chilling in the chat, and I've been in the chat last 2 weeks. It's been fun watching the chat go. I was taking pictures of the chat. I feel like I was like a parent at the game, but I wasn't able to play. So I'm like sitting there like taking pictures of Carlos and all the guys last week on the chat. I was like, look, we got people in the chat. It's cool. But I told him in the Facebook chat, but he didn't see it. I have an artist inspiration I want you to show off because I'm not there. But
my fault, dude.
That's all good. That's all good. It's all good. It's fine. This is her
name.
Is
work. It's a lot of work to do this show by myself.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah,
I was sweating at the end of it.
This girl's name is Jane Nain. And Carlos came out of nowhere with that art station. I'm not used to him pulling out that kind of quality. But I think this girl's pretty cool. In her own, she's a freelance artist and she's got some cool work here, So I thought she was cool.
Are those paintings or photography?
These are paintings, I believe.
Jesus.
Yes, these are paintings. These are portraits that she does of people. Yeah. So
beautiful.
Love her stuff. And then
Jane Nain, Nane. Jack is about to unplug his computer.
So I had a 3D fix, right? And Christopher Bedard, right? Now, there's a scientific thing to this, right? Neri Oxman, right? This is a project collaborated with a professor, Neri Oxman from MIT Media Lab. So we're getting kind of smart over my 3D pay grade. And the Mediated Matter group to create 4 grown and 3D printed wearables. So they did a study, right? And they designed computational growth processes, which was capable of producing a wide variety of growing structures, like organic structures, basically, right? And they were trying to inspire like natural growth. So they did this in a computer running a simulation, right? And then what they wanted to do was to create shapes that could be adapted from their environment. And they did it by starting one little seed in the simulation and then growing this organic shape off of that seed to turn it into wearable fashion that was both like environmentally like sound and it's like some weird fusion of like MIT awesomeness and fashion art type deals. But the level of 3D on this stuff is just amazing in terms of like simulation and stuff like that, and to see how they're like turning this into like really cool like wearable stuff is like amazing. And like we're gonna put this link in the show notes for you guys because you can just watch this all day. And this could have been like a segment we talked about, but I wanted to show it for inspiration because it's such an interesting it's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So they do these first, and then they take these, and I think they through 3D printing and stuff, they try to say they want to turn this into wearable like clothing that it's kind of that breathes and like it's like environmentally friendly and stuff, and it's kind of weird. So they got different variants of all these things. It's really cool, like SIGGRAPH white paper style tech stuff. Sometimes it gets a little too techy, but I thought the stuff was like kind of beautiful from an artistic standpoint, even though it's like a really cool simulation that really smart people wrote.
Yeah, it's like it's like organic, like I don't want to say nature simulation, but it's like
that's what they're saying in the papers.
It's like it's like weird fractal stuff that's like found.
Yeah, and the base of that simulation is based off of nature. So like, and how like fungus and all that stuff kind of like grows. So with that being said, we'll fast forward to some of the other ones here, right? So you got that in your head, right? And if you ever want to know what Charlie does late night when he's looking at 3D or modeling, I'm finding stuff like this.
Yeah,
I'm like, why can't like I think that notion of like getting grants and being a professor and all that stuff, like, and getting money to research stuff could be cool for the creative arts too. But it seems like it's only happening in like regular colleges and really smart tech schools. Like, give me a grant and I'll come up with some stuff. Anyway, so then they go and they show, all the different growths and stuff like that, right? And then they talk about the nature of wearables, right? So from this process, they came up with 4 wearables that were grown. All of the grown wearables in this collection, designed by Professor Neri, aim to embed living matter within a 3D structure. So it's like you can read more about it. I can go on about it, but let's look at some of the wearables. So check this stuff out. Isn't this like crazy? Like, this is cool. I don't know why I think this is like some like cool. Yeah, right. I don't even know how to describe it. I just looked at this stuff and I was like, what? Now imagine if they figured out how to make it like act kind of like living, but you wear it, and like, just so it's all theory and design. I think at this point, but talk about being way out there.
I mean, it's kind of remember Aiko Ishioka, that costume designer?
Yeah,
it's kind of like her stuff, but even more like. Yeah, it's really weird,
right? Like,
I mean, it's like simultaneously weird, but also like totally normal looking. It like looks, it's totally natural. It definitely feels like it's from nature.
Look, they said in the process, and then so they have the whole process of this whole thing. It says, due to the nature of the generative nature of the algorithm, it was possible to create a wide range of wearables that adapt to the human body for pre-visualization and design iterations. Like, did they say conforming? Yeah.
Like, did they say how much of this is art directed and how much they kind of just let it happen. It's
let me go back up here. It was. They said that this naturally happened based on this being based on organic algorithms, based off of real life.
I mean, obviously they
growth.
just it picked the best stuff, but I mean, it's
Yeah. So they were saying because it's based on growth, it adapted to the body's figure on purpose. You know.
Right.
But
like that one there on top has like a couple of different materials. Like they use some flower petal thing, which almost makes like a Renaissance collar, and then so obviously at some point that's
choosing the algorithm to use.
Yeah, choosing the algorithm and the colors and placing it was somewhat art directed, but it's still pretty amazing that.
Yeah, they're saying like some of this stuff can then also act as a protective exoskeleton, like for the head as the planet lacks atmosphere. So they're talking about if they use this to like explore new planets or something like that, you'd wear this type of things, like organic organism type of thing.
We're going to be wearing mushrooms.
Yeah, so that because they survive better than you and they'll protect you.
That's kind of brilliant, actually.
Right?
That makes strangely a lot amount of sense.
Yeah, it's like you got to read more about it, and there's a bunch of other links. All pieces were designed by Professor Neri Oxman in collaboration with Christopher Badir and Dominic Kolb, and produced on the Object 500 Connex 3 color multi-material 3D production system. Ooh, so this is a printer. Wow. Exhibited at the Euro Mode in 2014. For the first time, 3D printing was used to achieve volumetric color and transparency gradients. So they actually did print this stuff. And there it is. So I saved the best for last. So now you can see the real life versions of this stuff printed out.
And that's the normal 3D printer material.
Yeah, it's just special, like some special printer that they use, but they can do both transparency printing here because it's all clear, and volumetric. So basically, the volumetric allows it to grab that algorithm and everything's one-to-one.
I mean, that's nuts because they simultaneously they have 3D printers that will literally print like cells and like actual organic material. So like now you give it. I mean, obviously the intent was to like build a heart or whatever, which is a pretty specific pattern. But this is like one step further, and it's like using.
Yeah, it says looking ahead. So then I'm done. It says Professor Neri Oxman and our team is working on blurring the boundary between environment and ourselves. The aim is to embed living matter within 3D structures that augment the environment. Each piece intends to hold life-sustaining elements contained within 3D printed vascular structures with internal cavities made possible with the dimensional stability and high-resolution accuracy of the Stratasy technology. Living matter within these structures will ultimately transform oxygen for breathing, photons for seeing, biomass for eating, biofuels for moving, and calcium for building. Cool stuff, guys. And there's a whole other like material ecology is a term she coined for this research, and that's at this website here, which we'll put in the show notes also, and it gives you more about the project, the publications, the courses that she developed based over at MIT, and all the awards and stuff. So it's a really cool, fascinating read on how far art can go mixed with science. Get it, go check it out.
Check that out. That's a cool one. Very unique one.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm glad I made it home.
I know. Me too.
I wanted to show that for 2 weeks.
Oh, you know what? Jack, are you going to go? Are you pouting?
Jack's going first next week. Jack's going to go first next week. Get it out the way. He's going to have something amazing. I know.
He's going to have some fire.
I believe in him. He said,
I feel like I'm not doing the world a favor. I got to get on this, create some sci-fi, realistic painted magic, make the world a better place. Mumbo jumbo. I'm gonna
hand painted, watercolor looking, oil painted, Photoshop brush,
mushroom grown, space traveling.
Photoshop that
acquirable. Goodness.
Funny.
I've already picked the title for this show. It's called I Got Work to Do.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like it. So are we good? We gonna call it?
I think so.
All right. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
If people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
You can find me on my ArtStation at artstation.com/CharlieBW3. Twitter is CBW3. Instagram, CharlieBW3. My personal website is cargocollective.com/CharlieBWilliams. And that almighty Pinterest get you inspiration so you can get to work. Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3. There's new stuff up. I've been on kind of a tear lately. And if you like this artist inspiration segment, well, I got about couple thousand images for you to like veg out on and tutorials to get your life right. Go check it out for everybody.
Is that how Spirit got your information?
Yeah. And Spirit sent my daughter an amazing package, and she freaked out, but told her mom not to freak out though.
He must have went on your Pinterest and stalked you.
Yeah. Yo, the level of like years of like logic she went through in her head in that like half an hour, and then she was like, "Mom, it's a show. And then my wife said, "No, you got a package from them." And then she's like,
"Too cute."
Oh, well, how do they know where? So when she asked, "Well, how do they know where I live?" Exactly. Then she's like believing it. I'm like, "Well, they probably just galloped over."
They what?
My wife said she galloped over. It was like, really?
I thought you said they yelped it. I was like, what?
They just galloped over. And then she's like, really? And I was like, probably. And then that's about the time when I came downstairs. She said, "Daddy, Spirit sent me a package." And then when she opened it, she was all like, "This is amazing." I don't know how many times she's watched those 6 episodes. I'm like,
the new ones are coming in September.
Good. I'm like, Jack, you gotta give me some more.
I don't know if Fitzy is still on, but I told her I would share my screen. I'm working on some storyboards for a Robots and Aliens cartoon. This is one of the boards. Some stuff is about to pop off.
Look at that.
So yeah, that's it.
I'm not used to seeing
so Fitzy, if you're still there you go.
I'm not used to seeing it so blown up, so bigger than life now. The itty bitty version. How he's there, it's big time. Cool.
Yep. So hey Jack, if people are looking for you, I completely.
I'm at sketchbookjack.com and sketchbookjack on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and probably other places too. Can't think of them right now.
So weird. Probably other places.
So I am Carlos Gomez. You can find me at Coconut Justice, coconutjustice.com, Coconut Justice absolutely everywhere else. This is Sketch Zone. You can find us at sketch.zone. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but if you go to sketch.zone, you'll be able to find all the links to everywhere we are. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you're wanting to listen on your phone or device anywhere else, you can find us on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, iTunes. We're out there, son. We're out there.
Get it in your life.
Get it in your life. Yeah, that's it for us, y'all. Have a good week.
See you next week, guys.
See ya.